This is another Frank Collab.
The message that I have is clear. It is absolutely about not needing to accept everything and everyone. I demand and command respect.
That confidence, that level of confidence, where does that stem from?
I had no idea that I was trans or that I was born in the wrong body or that I did not want to be a boy. And when I was 11 years old, my father told me that I was not Māori and I would not be welcome on our marae. That in itself is a very powerful thing to say from an adult.
What did you do to help you through that time in your 20s?
We went to Waikato Hospital when I was 6 years old and took me to a psychiatrist who basically said to my mum, we can send him away. Scared to get out of my own way, to get to sit in a room like this and talk to someone like I am doing with you two today. It was just too hard. And so Lifeline for me was that vehicle.
What I saw online was like they receive 8,000 calls a week, 20,000 texts of people in crisis. So it's just telling of just how much in demand this service is.
You're backed so much into a corner that you're almost forced to have this attitude. Did you feel that?
I know I am enough. I know I give enough. Generosity comes from within you and strive to thrive to get it. It ain't just going to get handed to you. So if you want that, don't subscribe to anything I've done in life because nothing was handed to me.
Welcome back to Stand Up Again with Sophie and Nick Ratto. Today's guest is an executive leader, an international keynote speaker, and an ambassador for Lifeline.
And she's here today to share her own story with inclusivity and belonging. Our guest today is Mary Haddock-Staniland.
Mary, thank you so much for coming on Stand Up Again with Sophie
Thanks
and
for
Nick
having
Ratto.
me.
We're
Thanks for having
so looking forward to this chat.
Same.
Yes. And
Same.
so what we usually do is start at the very beginning of where your story began. But actually, I would love our audience to know about
We're flipping
you.
the script on
Yeah.
that today.
Yeah. I'd
Yes.
love to know what is it the work you're doing right now, and tell us a bit about yourself and what you're doing.
Well, today I sit in a executive position for a for-purpose organisation, which is formerly the New Zealand AIDS Foundation, but we
Right.
are called Burnett Foundation Aotearoa, and
Uh-huh.
we're the national organisation with 40 years of experience
Yeah.
under our belt providing HIV prevention, education and support across Aotearoa, New Zealand, focusing particularly on Māori Pacifica, underrepresented trans and Takatapui communities. So day in and day out can vary between sitting with the Minister, Associate Minister of Health, to board meetings, to exec meetings. And so I look after a slice of the organisation to really make sure we're doing our work well so everyone can do well because of it. That's Monday to Friday corporate life.
Yeah.
And then I sit on a couple of boards, both here in New Zealand and one in the UK. And I do lots of speaking. I do lots of talking, again here, but also around the world about the importance of cultivating cultures of inclusion where people feel like they belong, whether that's in your community, whether that's in your whānau unit, whether that's in the workplace. So yeah, life is full. It's full of greatness.
Yes.
And I do on the odd occasion find time for the cats and for my husband. But
Yeah.
life is, I don't like dead time. It's one of the things I say to my team all the time. If I've got an hour in the car, fill that time with a phone call that I need to make with somebody. So
Yeah.
yeah, it would be safe to say I use every moment to make matter, because I think that's important.
Yeah, and so when you do those international keynotes and even national keynotes, talk us, who are you talking to? What kind of businesses? What ranging from?
Yeah, they can be
into-
really small organisations
Yeah.
with sort of 100 and less, right up to, audiences. I'm about to head to Australia in a couple of weeks to talk to an organisation with a bunch of it's a conference with, I think, about 150 organisations attending, so about 8,000 people. But
Oh my gosh.
so anything can, and
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of this 2, 3, 4 person chat because you can pick up every single bloody word I'm saying. Whereas when you're on a stage,
Yeah.
you're animated and you're under the
Yeah.
lights and you've got all
Yes.
the monitors and whatnot. So you kind of get away with saying
Yeah.
things
Oh.
that you may not be able to say one-on-one. Or
Isn't
in a
it
small
funny,
group.
the intimate crowd versus a
Mm.
huge audience?
Yeah.
I totally relate with that with theatre work I've done
Mhm.
and Nick, especially with comedy, when there's 2 or 3 people on the front row
Oh.
versus a massive big crowd, it's sometimes easier to feel more at home with the big audience.
Give me
hey?
an audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Give me an audience. I'm totally at home with that. And as far as sectors, they can be a variety of organisations that I've talked to over the years. Really, what is at the centre of most of the common theme with organisations that want me to be involved with their kaupapa is the power of inclusion and why it matters for their people and their communities and their customers to feel seen. And so that's also been something I've blended through my career over the many years I've been talking and
Yes.
working.
That's great. I do some emceeing and corporate work as well, and it's hard. It's hard to. I just did one recently for the roofers of New Zealand, and I did like a scaffolding one as well. It's hard to go up in front of people and just to get them engaged. It must be hard for you to go up in front of different organizations because you're essentially trying to change their culture and even like change their framework of what they're thinking of inclusivity is, right?
Yeah, I am. Although the same thing when I'm emceeing stuff as well. I get the point. It can be tricky to move, touch, and inspire the audience, particularly when they're on the booze.
Yeah, day 2 is a shocker.
Day 2 is always a nightmare, and they always get wrecked on day 1. I don't know why they do that. Says someone that never does that when I attend conferences. I mean, it is. The message that I have is clear. It is absolutely about not needing to accept everything and everyone. I don't need to be accepted. In fact, I think acceptance is tolerance. I demand and command respect. And that's the message I land when I'm speaking, when I'm emceeing, because you can have opposing views and we don't need to agree on everything in the world. I don't agree with my husband, and I've been with him for 22 years on everything, but I respect his position when he says I can't go and buy another handbag. I don't always accept it, but I respect it. And so it's the same concept when you're in front of an audience. You know, I absolutely can polarize and captivate an audience. Energy is really important. We talked about that before we clicked live. I think the energy I bring to a room is one that I would want in return. So safety, unity, and a two-way street that is not always met with the same answer at the end. You absolutely have to have rigorous conversations. When the sound guy at the side of the stage tells me that he won't turn it to past 8, I'm like, I want 9. 9, sorry, as I knocked the microphone. 9 is my number on the sound levels. And we get to 8.8 and I agree, okay, cool, we'll do that. But, you know, I think it's meeting where we, you know, joining forces and bringing that connected tissue actually is the baseline to how I live my life and the values I want in others usually.
And hearing you describe captivating and commanding is absolutely what I'm getting from just being in the room with you for 10 minutes. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
And so that confidence, that level of confidence, where does that stem from? Is that been inbuilt or something you've really had hard earned along the way?
That's such a good question. I mean, I have an identical twin brother, although he's not very identical to me these days. But, you know, maybe, I mean, I had to fight my way in that womb, you know, so I think from a very young age, it's been in my DNA.
Yes.
And some truth to that is actually my mum did not know that she was pregnant with twins when she had us. I've never shared that story before, but yeah, she didn't know. Back in those days, a long time ago, you did 2 scans, and they didn't detect a heartbeat at the first scan, and the second scan my mother didn't get to. So she had 1 scan, and we're the youngest of the 6 of our family. So mum was she knew what she was doing. And so when my brother came out, the doctors said, well, actually, Mrs. Haddock, we can detect another heartbeat. And I won't share with you what my mother said. But then walla malu, walla mala, here I am.
Wow.
So maybe the confidence, as I sit here talking about this live right now, maybe that just is me and has
Yeah.
been part of me, part of my
Yes.
makeup for.
You've
Your
had to
factory
put your hand up
settings.
straight from the beginning.
I
'Cause
am.
if you hadn't of,
In
they would have
more
left
ways
you
than
in.
one,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So is this where
Exactly.
your story begins then? And am I right in saying it was in Matamata? Is that where you grew up?
It was, yeah.
So mum's suddenly discovering she's going from 6 children
Mm-hmm.
to 8. And then you arrive.
No. So she had 4 children. Sorry,
She had
and
4
2.
children.
Yeah, and then us 2. So 6 in
Okay.
total. Pretty much that's where that's where it began for my mum. And back in those days, there was not much about transgender dysphoria, inclusivity in the
Yes.
early 80s. It was just not a thing. So mum, she was a solo mum with 6 children and worked her butt off.
Yeah.
And
What did she work? What was she doing? What was her?
she was part-time in 2 different jobs
Yeah.
while managing a house and 6 children. And so,
Crazy
a
busy.
complete admiration for her and what she was able to provide and do for us as children.
Yeah.
And growing up in such a small space, we had a small home, but actually in Matamata with, everyone knew you. There were 5 people that lived there, it felt like, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
There's only 12 people that live there now, thanks to Hobbiton. But, I grew up not knowing what I was or who I was. And so my story began, in a time where also my dad was incredibly violent. While we weren't living with him, when I did see him, it was not great. So, and the added complexities back in those days being that school was also a nightmare. I mean, I don't remember much of my schooling where I wasn't bullied every single day for being different to my siblings. But back then, I of course didn't know myself. I had no idea that I was trans or that I was born in the wrong body or that I did not want to be a boy. I had no concept of that. I was 6 years old, for goodness sake. So it was challenging and trying times that really, many times made me stand up again. Again and again and again and again on repeat, really.
I'm thinking about children. They're just expressing their beautiful souls. They are just being authentically themselves. Were you able to do that? Was it the outside in saying, actually, don't do that? That's not what you are meant to do. Were you getting that?
There would, I mean, my mum would allow me to be me, but under her guise because she was so protective. Not that she was trying to control me, but outside of the 4 walls of our section on Peria Road in Matamata, she would get worried. And so the fear of that made her be a controlling mum in the sense that she didn't want me to be harmed. So I was able to be me. I mean, ironically, only just recently we were laughing with friends that at the Matamata Christmas parade, oh my lordy, it used to be a hoot. I mean, my brothers would be on the rugby league and the cricket floats, and I would be on the jazz ballet with Mrs. Harbottle 3 trucks down doing jazz ballet. Oh my lordy. Oh my lord, what a joke. But that was just how I did life. And we navigated life so interestingly because of the poverty, because of the socioeconomic environment we were living in every way, but also because I was different. And my family, they did wear the brunt of that a lot. But it probably would be safe to say that they're reaping the rewards of my life now. But, it was nowhere was it easy.
No.
And it's character building. I mean, that's resilience in real life, really.
Yeah.
Unraveling.
And your family members. So what's the makeup of the
2 older
siblings?
brothers,
2
older sisters and a twin brother.
And what was their help, hindrance? What was their
support?
Support is the better word.
Well, full support. No, full support. I mean, they were a lot older than us.
Right.
So they had kind of left home. The last of my siblings had left home.
Right.
Before we kind of reached the point of intermediate, which is when we left Matamata and relocated to Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland. But So, you know, I remember having school holidays with my brothers and sisters and them just letting me be.
Yeah.
By this stage, a number of my siblings had started having children themselves. I have 22 nephews and nieces.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of
Girl,
birthdays.
that is a lot of birthdays.
Yeah.
No, they don't all get presents. They
Yeah.
all get a card, and at Christmas they get vouchers. That's it, because
Yeah.
that is a
It's
whole
a lot of capacity.
navigating. Or they just come to the house and drink my wine and eat my food.
Yeah.
Which they do that anyway during the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a massive family, and that family unit extended because my mum was one of 13. You know, she had a huge family unit. I have a lot of cousins, and a lot of family across our echo chamber, our ecosystem. And so family became very united, and I was just part of that. You know, was I treated differently? I don't know that I was. I can't remember being treated differently.
Yeah.
But I was just being me, you know,
Yes.
uniquely me. Of course, I wasn't womanly then. I still had my boy name, but they just allowed me to lean in and grow up and learn and kind of make that decision as I did in my late teens, early 20s.
And so at 12, you've moved from a small town
Mm-hmm.
into a big city.
Mm-hmm.
And did you find that brought more diversity, more belonging? At
Girl,
12?
we moved from Matamata to
Mhm.
Papatoe. I mean, you could
Okay.
not get more diverse.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are 134 ethnicities in New Zealand, and I swear to God, they all come out of Papatoe.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I was like a kid in a candy store. So many times of my education in South Auckland, I felt like I blended. And I know that might be hard for some people to realize, but it's so true. I mean, I really was just part of the fabric,
Yeah.
and no one gave a shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
South Auckland, I get on the bandwagon, and I will challenge anyone who gives South Auckland a bad name or a
Yeah.
bad time, because I love South Auckland. I live in South Auckland now, and we, you know, the education, the power of learning that I got from people across different ethnicities and even religious communities that accepted me. Yeah, I loved my time in that. I mean, I also didn't, because school was also kind of horrible, but at the same time, there were some amazing creatures through my time in
So
school.
yeah, so that schooling time then. So what was the highs and lows of, because we all go to college and intermediate, and everyone has different
Yeah, different experiences. And we
experiences.
throw in a whole load of hormones.
Mhm.
Yes.
How did that go for you?
Look, it was a challenging time. I feel like all I'm doing is beating up on my schooling time, but I mean, it genuinely was very difficult, because again, even in my teens, I was still unsure about what gender dysphoria meant. I mean, I knew that girls' clothes and Gem and the Holograms and Home and Away was for me, you know,
Yeah.
but I definitely still wasn't into sport like my brothers were. I didn't even know, you know, who and what I was sexually attracted to. That wasn't even on the radar. But the moments of greatness through school for me were those that were allies and supporters, and a lot of them were from the teaching community. One teacher in particular that I talk about a lot, who was amazing, who's actually now. So he was my fourth form dean at Papatoe High School. He reached out to me and asked me to be the opening keynote speaker at the Secondary School Principals Association in New Plymouth, in front of 400 school principals, to be a keynote. And when he reached out, my team said that I was unavailable, and I found out about it a few weeks later, and I was like, what the hell? What do you mean I'm unavailable? And I was booked to go and do something else. I cancelled so that I could go to this. I never cancel gigs. Please know this. I never do that, but I cancelled. Actually, the company I was booked for, they reprogrammed their schedule it was a few months' notice, so change the date. But I went to New Plymouth, and I spoke at this conference about the power of how the education system is so flawed in lots of ways, but there are amazing people that sit inside schools across the country that not everyone sees and hears. And Vaughan will hate me calling him out, although he's a bit of a show-off, let's be honest. He's not the president of the Secondary Schools Association anymore, but he's still at Papatoe High.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, he definitely was a champion for me and allowed me to thrive in an education system when I was not.
I'm curious about your relationship with your dad during this time. Was it on and off since you moved maybe further away?
And look, I think the easiest way to explain that time and then to now is we're all born to be who we are in the world. Like we talked about my DNA pushing my way out into the world quite literally.
Yeah.
Wallamalu, Wallamala, here I am.
Yeah.
And we're born and institutionalized in a way to understand the way of the world. And while some choose to be curious and open and some choose to be defensive and skeptical, I think there's a lot of unlearning and relearning you have to constantly do in your life to evolve, to be better, to stand on the whenua, on the land that you're on, and own your truth and your worth. I've done that. And I constantly do that, but I don't think my father will and ever do that. And so because of that, we don't have a relationship. And I'm okay with that. I haven't always been, but almost a year ago, my mum passed away. And if there's one thing that I learned from that happening, which there were lots of things I learned, and I'm, you know, anyone who knows parent grief will understand it's a roller coaster and it's a constant, and I struggle some days to the worst degree, but she gave me so much strength and resilience and a willingness, and I actually hold the power to change how I think about my relationships, not just with my dad, but with many people, with actually everyone I engage with. I choose to turn up and be fabulous because that's part of who I am, and that's how I want the world, if I was to hold the mirror up, to be as well. And my relationship with my father, it's so fraught with misunderstanding and fear and cultural intersectionalities across te roranga, teratanga. And yes, I may not be able to get onto the marae and do the karanga or be able to speak fluently like many of my siblings, but I am still Māori and I am still proud of my whenua and where I come from. And you know, tikanga and whakawhanaungatanga isn't just about ticking a box. I've never ticked a box in my life. I live and breathe connection and a willingness to make everyone feel like they're included in my heart or my life or my love or my house, or if I'm walking into a bar and I've met you twice, I'm going to buy you a drink or whatever, that much to my husband's disgust. But whatever that is, that doesn't change because I don't have a relationship with my dad. And that's taken me a really long time to figure that out. Again, standing up again, whether that's standing up on my feet or standing up against something, I'm not going to allow him to have his views and not even engage with me, or have his views and be so, to be a dick about it, really.
Yeah.
Because that, I don't allow that from strangers. I'm most certainly not going to allow that from the person that helped bring me into the world. And that's how strongly I feel about it. And I know that I can go to bed sleep at night with two very heavy Tonkinese cats on our legs, knowing that I can stare down the barrel of my life, knowing that actually I am just me, very unapologetically, and I can't change that. And actually, I don't want to, because I actually quite like me.
Yeah.
Yes, you are fabulous. I'm loving this conversation.
Oh, bless.
So you were talking about your Māori heritage. Is that something you've recently reconnected with more later in life? You
have done your research. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. That was a couple of years ago now. You know, and that's playing on the fact that this conversation with my dad hasn't really happened, but I felt it. I mean, when I was 11 years old, my father told me that I was not Māori and I would not be welcome on our marae. That in itself is a very powerful thing to say from an adult, no less a parent to a child. So pop that to one side. But you know, the concept that actually no one can take that away from me. I've had to really dig deep to that. Every time I've gone close to the edge, I've had fear, and every time I've thought I needed to do this because I've had to, it's then not been great because I don't have to do anything. I needed to want to do Māori more, and so I did. I spent the better part of 2024 with an amazing human who helped me. And am I where I want to be? No. But I'm better than I was, and I'm improving all the time. And while the language of Māoridom is important, just knowing that when you say places like Taranaki and you say places like Matamata, you say that properly, that in my own definition is not the reason, or it's not the be all and end all. Would I like to be able to be fluent in my language? Yes, one day, but that will come with time.
What's the most surprising thing that's come from like connecting with
Māoridom?
Yeah. That you didn't think was like, obviously, the language and so on and so forth is the thing, but has there been like a philosophy or a
feeling of belonging?
Yeah, that
culture.
I'm enough, that I'm
Yeah.
enough, that I am enough, that I am enough, and that my dad had no, or actually has no right to tell me that I'm not, because as he was part of me being into the world, and both his parents, who are no longer here, were full Māori. Actually, I'm more Māori than most Māori because of that. And so, yeah, I'm very much enough. And, my grandmother, his mother, was an amazing woman who I didn't get to see a lot after I grew up. In my early years, I lived with her when I was 4 or 5, and went to kohanga in Rangirirri in the Waikato, and she was an amazing human. And I remember going down there to visit her in Rangirirri a few years ago, which was a year or two before she passed away. And she would tell me that often, but that I was enough, and that I should just do what felt comfortable for me. And so, yeah, but one of the major learnings from that time. And Māoridom comes and goes. It's peaks and troughs, and I lean into it when I lean into it, and then I don't when I don't. But I mean, I think it's always going to be there because it's part of who I am.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And I was thinking about the message from your dad was pure exclusivity. And you are doing this most empowering work in inclusivity. I want to circle back now. We're going to go winding back the clock to when you were 18. So from being now an 18-year-old, is that when you decided to transition?
Yeah, 18, 19, 20, in that slice.
Can we jump to that chapter of your life and talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between?
Sure. I mean, it wasn't very conventional for me, in the sense that these days I feel like everything's talked about very openly, and everyone's on the gram or the TikTok or the, I'm getting top surgery, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. I mean, back in those days, I say that loosely, that was, to get an appointment with the doctor to talk about this particular topic was tricky. And so, there was a lot on the internet, but also I needed to convince myself. I needed to convince, more particularly, my mum and her husband and my brothers and sisters. But the path to really, truly, authentically figuring who I am out was when actually we, as in my mum and I, sat and held hands and talked openly about what was it that was going to make me not, because we realized through my childhood and my teens that I was moving further and further away from what my description of what my brothers were or are, to more like my sisters. And so it was an opportunity for my mum and I to kind of align, I suppose, because her thoughts and values were most of the time valued, and then began the medical route, which was harmless at the time. I mean, I think there's a lot more available these days to parents and to folks wanting to consider transitioning than there was back in those days. But, with a solid medical plan, and it was very much, I mean, the psychological behind it back then, there was an intense psychological assessment done, more than I think there is these days. I'm not sure exactly because I haven't wound the clock back to redo it again in 2026. But, there was as much about making sure, triple checking, going over, double backing, making sure, that this was the way forward for me, which I obviously knew was. But my mum held my hand through the majority of it. To go back even further, when my mum knew something was wrong with me, well, she thought something was wrong with me, sorry. We went to Waikato Hospital when I was 6 years old and took me to a psychiatrist who basically said to my mum, we can send him away. And that he was talking about conversions therapy. And I don't need to tell you again what my mother said in the corridors of Waikato Hospital, but we were out of there quick smart. So that was when I was 6 that happened. And we just didn't have the wherewithal to kind of pursue that further. And back then, that was a big thing because it was, the mid-'80s then. And so to evolve that conversation now back to when, the 18, 19, 20 bucket, mum being protective and fearful of me being harmed and all of that stuff was very clear about being part of the whole thing with me. So,
gosh, your mum's awesome.
Yeah, she was.
Because that could have, I'm just thinking the wrong person in that room.
Could have been a very different version, and this may not be the version that you're getting today. I mean, the sense that I had, and there was certain times where my mental health, probably later in sort of between the late teens and mid 20s before I met my husband, it was tough. I mean, I was conflicted. I wasn't, but a lot of people around me at times were, but then the fear of the bullying and the hate and the ickiness. And then I started building a profile that began to kind of also supersede this perception of myself that I didn't know was me, back in those days. And so I got a bit tongue-tied. I'm actually sitting thinking about that. I haven't thought about that for a long time. So I'm probably sounding like I'm tongue-tied too.
Great.
I feel like the external pressures to my own rhythm and my own energetic vibe was being conflicted, and then added with my father on the odd occasion interrupting or interfering or just being a dick. That was adding to the... So I basically... It felt like I was in a wash machine probably for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Until I came out of that.
And so what did you do to help you through that time in your 20s? Was there a support person other than your mum, obviously, but who did you talk to around that time to help you through?
I mean, I had a very close cousin. We're still very close today, Vicky.
Shout out, Vicky.
Shout out, Vicky. She'll be watching this. She watches all my stuff. She's just a big fan in Taranaki. I remember specifically the Foursquare owner at the end of Allenby Road in Papatoi that I used to do. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm telling anyone this. I used to do a newspaper run. I had to do a newspaper run, and I used to get $33 a week. Oh my goodness. That needs to come out of the edit. No, you can keep it. I'll give you that exclusive.
Thank you.
And he was just so divine. Like, I would see him 3 nights a week, and he was amazing because he just didn't care.
Right.
And
just wanted a job done.
Because I would also be like, can I leave you 10 papers? Because I didn't want to deliver the rest. And he'd be like, get your ass out there and get it done. And he would make me cups of tea. And he had kids that I didn't know that went to a private school. But, I was just included. There were people that I did a lot of swimming when I was in high school. from the swimming club. I was very good, actually. 200 metres freestyle, Counties Manukau, 3 years in a row.
There
Just
we
Wow.
go. Easy.
that's how a lot of people say I've got great legs. I literally attribute my entire leg regime to swimming. But I, of course, don't get in the pool now. I've got too much to manage with all of this. But just the most, and they would even not even know today.
No.
Yeah.
You know, they're never part of my thank you speeches. They're never
Yes.
invited to the parties because I
Yep.
don't even. It's the people that are the most unsung heroes that have been in my echo chamber
Yes.
that I've thought, holy heck, you've actually contributed to this fabric of this version of this person today. And so there've been many that
I
I don't
love that.
even.
Yeah.
There've been many.
And you've spoken a lot about your work supporting Lifeline.
Yes.
Was Lifeline quite a big part of your mental health and
Yeah,
working through challenges?
Working through challenges, exactly. So probably 22, 23. Yeah, those years were rough. Yeah, they were really rough. They were tricky because we turn the light off, we turn the light on, and boomfa, there's this new version of me. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, on the exterior, because I hadn't changed much on the interior, because I still wanted to be me. I wanted to be amazing. I wanted to care for my nephews and nieces. I wanted to, I wanted to have a career. I was building up my career, etc. But, my passion, my need for that meant that my mental health just took a knock at times. And so Lifeline was an amazing outlet for me. And I remember ringing the same person every Tuesday evening. And, there were times I just were in black holes and I didn't know how to get out of them often. And I was too shy. I was too embarrassed. I was too scared to get out of my own way to get to and to sit in a room like this and talk to someone like I am doing with you two today. It was just too hard. And so Lifeline for me was that vehicle. And fast forward to when in 2017 they asked me, I was at maybe the peak of my fabulosity, when they asked me to be an ambassador for them. And I cried for 2 days. And that organization gives so much and does so much to people, for people. I'm incredibly proud to be partnered with that organization because they do so good. And they need so much more help. They've just recently received funding from the government for the first time in a very long time.
Okay.
However, that is not enough.
Not enough. Because they're 24/7.
Well, they're not at the moment.
Oh,
They've had
not?
to turn off 24/7 because of funding.
Right.
Wow.
So they hope to be able to be back up and running, twirling around and doing what they're there to do. Those counsellors, it's such an amazing service that's provided to people across the motu. And so, they still need supporters. They still need donors and and fundraising is still a huge part of that organisation because it's still only 30% of the funding they've received from the government recently, which is amazing.
Yes.
Let's not talk politics here, but
Yes.
it's amazing that they've received funding from the government, as have many other amazing organisations, by the way. But they've still only received 30% of what they need to run that organisation.
Okay.
So
there's a huge gap.
there's a huge gap.
And I was reading some statistics. I don't know if they're current for today, but what I saw online was like they receive 8,000 calls a week, 20,000 texts of people in crisis. So it's just telling of just how much in demand this service is.
And more now than ever before.
And
of course.
definitely.
Yeah.
And so I saw that you've done a lot of fundraising yourself for them and with Anna Stratton.
I did, yes.
Can you tell us all about that?
Yes. Well, Anna's a very good friend of mine. We've been friends for a very long time. And we did an incubator together, a collection, just, in my spare time. And the proceeds the profits of the proceeds from that collection, which sold out in 7 days.
Wow.
There we go.
Good job.
Bless.
There we go.
Sold out in 7 days, and the proceeds went to Lifeline, and that was so much fun. I mean, to say that I designed the collection.
Yes, I was going to say, how much input? This colour,
Not
that
really.
colour.
I mean, there was a little bit. I said yay and nay to lots of stuff because, you know, Anna, I mean, Anna is more of a philanthropist these days than she's a fashion designer, but she has a huge heart, and when we met, we met at a time in my life where I was, you know, Queen of Fabulosity in the radio world, and I actually thought that she was the most scary woman in the world. I kind of put her towards Miranda Priestley from Devil's Wear Prada,
Yes.
but she actually wasn't and isn't, and a very dear friend.
Isn't it funny how we build people up sometimes before we know them?
Exactly. And so that was to also celebrate. That was to celebrate the 60th anniversary of Lifeline's presence in Aotearoa. So I should probably. This is a reminder that I probably need to do another collection. But
yeah, definitely. I also want to ask about when you were 25.
Yes.
You met someone pretty fabulous as well. Now, who did you meet? And tell us about your relationship.
With my husband.
That's who.
Yes.
I'm hoping so.
I'm hoping so too.
He's hoping so too.
He's hoping so too, because he's another one that watches all of these. Look, when we met, honestly, this is so funny. When we met, it was on the internet.
Okay.
It was the internet. Back when remember the internet when it was just on dial-up.
Is
that how you two met?
Yeah.
Well, I seen Nick in a show. I watched him do a comedy show.
Yes.
And then through the internet, I reached out and said, let's have a coffee.
Okay.
Or a rock and roll lemonade.
Yeah.
So we went for a drink. So yeah, kind of through the internet. It connects us
through
all.
The internet. Yeah. This is on a dating site, which I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
It's probably not even around anymore. It was that long ago. And we chatted for ages, and I just thought, yeah, I'll meet you. And I was living in Ellerslie. He was renovating a house in Pukekohe, and he rode to me on his motorbike. And I thought, oh my God. And he told me he had a motorbike, and I just thought, oh, how embarrassing. You're like 30 something and you've got a motorbike. Like, what the heck? And so keep in mind the distance. So Pukekohe to Ellerslie.
How far would that be?
That's like a 50-minute drive, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
On a motorbike?
On a motorbike. And so we spent he arrived at 9:30 in the morning. We spent all day just yabba. And about 4:00, I was thinking, and I just didn't want the day to end. Yeah. And I was thinking, oh, heck, I'm getting hungry. And he's like, well, how about we go for dinner? And I was like, well, I didn't have a car. And I said, well, there's no way I'm getting on that thing.
Yeah.
And so he said, oh, no, don't worry. I'll just go home and get my car. I'm like, there were no Ubers back in those days. Yeah. So I'm like thinking, holy heck, it's 4:00. You're going to be fine. Yeah. I was like, okay, thinking, if this is his way of ghosting me, this is a bloody good go. Like, whoopee woo. This is,
you.
Yeah, exactly. See ya. And he did. He rode his bike back to Pukekohe, got his car, drove back to Ellerslie to take me to Mission Bay. We had fish and chips on the beach. And that was the Thursday. The Friday, we text from my Alcatel text-only phone, no fancy phones then. Saturday, he said, I want to cook you dinner in a renovated house. Nightmare. I mean, don't ever go to a boy's house in a reno.
He said it was a renovation, but actually it was full-time.
Yeah, it was like
a building site.
Thank you, darling. A building site. I turned up there. He had a bottle of Verve, favourite, obviously. He tried to open it with a corkscrew. I thought, my giddy aunt, I should have done a runner then. Who opens a champagne bottle with a corkscrew? Oh my goodness. He cooked me dinner. We spent a weekend together. I went home on the Monday. The Tuesday, I moved in with him. Yeah. And 6 months later, we bought our first house. And that was 22 years ago.
Incredible.
In January next year. And we've been married 15.
When you know, you know.
When you know, you know. And I knew. I mean, obviously, I'm lucky. He's luckier. But when you know, you bloody know. And, you know, he's 10 years older than me. And he's just a delight. I am so in love with him. He is very clever. He's very good with the money. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I'd be broke.
Yeah.
And he's just very intelligent, and he's the most thoughtful, caring human in the world. And he would do anything for anyone. I don't honestly think I could be me without him. And that scares me. I mean, losing mum, grief has been just in my sphere, thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Because it's going to happen. We're all going to die one day. And I said to him when we were going through that, I said, I need to know that I need to be the first person to go out of the two of us, because I just don't think I can. It will be horrific for me. So how very morbid to be talking this, but he is absolutely the reason I can thrive in the world. I mean, yes, obviously I bring the sprinkle, but he brings the sparkle.
And so he brought the safety, and you feeling that you could absolutely go forward and just achieve incredible things like you have in your career. And I feel like there's a big chapter of your life where you're traveling, you're away, you're doing all of these amazing things. And coming home just feels as special too.
You could have not said that better. He loves all my glam team and my glam room and my wardrobe room. We've got an amazing home, but he loves me with my hair in a bun.
Yeah.
With my pajamas on, with no makeup.
Yes.
He hates kissing my face with makeup on, so he likes it with no. You must be the same, Nick.
Yeah, we did
he
have
hates
this conversation.
he hates that, and we just can lay on the couch and not even need to talk for an hour.
Yeah.
It's that unspoken but spoken. He knows by looking at me and my mannerisms, how I'm holding myself, my non-spoken language, what to do or what not to do, or so it'd be great if we were stuck in something or other and there was something going on and he needed to gauge what was going on for me by looking at me, because he's pretty
very intuitive. Wow. Yeah.
The ambition I have always had, Willie talks about this all the time with me. He gets sick of it actually, because if it wasn't for me, he'd still be down the bottom of the pyramid in his work organization. But driving for success, tall poppy syndrome, get out of here. I can't be bothered. Honey, I worked in America for 5 years for a billionaire. You want to talk about tall poppy syndrome? Go do that. I was champagne, cocaine, caviar, and private jets. Like, that was my life for 5 years. And I worked my butt off. And I exited that job knowing that I'd done my thing. It was time to give it up, hand it over to somebody else, because I'd done my thing and I wanted to come home. But, that reality of, I hear it and I know it to be true in my friendship circle. We are not enough. You are not enough. Am I okay? Was I good enough? Yeah, damn straight. I know I am. I know I am enough. I know I give enough. Generosity comes from within you and out. But you got to want something and know, and strive to thrive to get it. It ain't just going to get handed to you. So if you want that, then, don't subscribe to anything I've done in life, because nothing was handed to me.
Yes.
Because easily you could have not done all of this, because you had every excuse and everyone would have gone, actually, fair enough.
Yeah.
Because every single part, probably every year.
Yeah.
That's, and the attitude, when was this? Because sometimes I feel like this, you're backed so much into a corner that you're almost forced to have this attitude. Did you feel that? Or was it more a gradual?
Just before I met Willie,
right.
I kind of thought, you know what?
Right.
I am just me.
Yes.
This is me.
Yes.
That song, I'm not going to sing it.
Oh, I know.
The sound guy.
I'm hearing it in my head.
You can hear it. Yeah.
Yes.
The Kiwi woman was the singer.
I love it.
Anyhow, it was right before the precipice of Willie.
Yeah.
And then when I met Willie, because it happened in 30 seconds, remember? Thursday to Tuesday, 6 months later, we bought the
Craig
house.
David song,
He just validated. We've got a whole music show.
We've got a whole musical soundtrack.
We've got a soundtrack.
We got a soundtrack coming soon. Stand up again on
But
TV.
I feel like what I'm hearing here is you when you embody your authenticity and all the gifts that you've been given, then you will Like you'll go forward.
It's not an option not to.
Yeah,
Are
you're a
you
magnet
for
to it.
real?
Yeah.
Like, it's not an option.
Yeah.
So at the precipice of when so that really critical time for me in that early 20s part where hormones were kicking in, dramas with the family, my dad being the mental health, and then meeting Willie, that was
Wow.
the bit. That pointy time was like, girl, what the hell? And then by meeting Willie, that validation and that clarity of this, get on with it. But okay, cool.
Yes.
You want to do that? Do it.
Yes.
Was like, okay, cool. And that's, I'm 44 in a week, 2 weeks. And so that has been my operating rhythm since. And I mean, I think I'm doing okay.
You're doing
fantastic.
amazing.
I want to just quickly go back just before Willie, because it was, you said there was something that you just decided that I'm just going to be me. Like what was that?
I mean, you couldn't have you talk of the every year thing that happened, and yes, it was. It felt like that. It was actually, to be honest with you, Nick, it felt like it was every bloody day at times.
Right.
The hurdles, the roadblocks was like surely the adversity and the resistance to my authenticness and my genuine desire to thrive and be me in the world.
Yeah.
It was either going to go one of two ways. And in fact, if it had gone the other way, I wouldn't be here on Earth today.
Yeah.
So that was the decision. That was the catalyst for change. And it was, I don't care. I know in here that this is true and as pure as it can be, and authentically me. I mean, I grew up living next to someone, i.e. my twin brother, that looked exactly the same as me. But we were not the same. We were not the same. We could not be, and we are not. We could not be more different. And yet there was no individualization a lot growing up because we were compared. Because we were identical.
Yeah.
We were compared our whole childhood. So then when I started evolving and turning into the butterfly, and he was still the bloody beanstalk, there was just this eruption for him, eruption for me. There was friction. It was just, it just became, and so all of that, when you bring, as I sit here and tell you all of this, and I bring that all to that pointy time in the early mid-20s, I mean, holy hecka. What a time. And then to evolve and to have the life lessons and to see how I don't often look back. I mean, looking back for me, I don't often like to do, because there's probably been maybe, not getting teary, maybe more heartache than greatness. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to that place. But it's only when I do stuff like this that I don't have to, but when I rebounce things and I'm reminded of the successes and the greatness and the togetherness, I think, wow,
just how far you've come.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah, it is, and it's not for show. It's not for the paycheck. It's who I am, and I don't ever think about that in any other way other than the fact that I am on earth to maybe help create change, to maybe have robust and rigorous conversations in boardrooms that help challenge thinking, that help people evolve in the way that they can unlearn and relearn, that they can dial up curiosity and dial down defensiveness so that they're not dicks. Yeah. And it's often not their fault. They just haven't been shown, or they've not had someone advocate for them. I love old white men. I married one. I love old white men in the boardroom and executive. I've had amazing old white men leaders my entire career. In fact, the majority of my career, I've been with. No, that sounds weird. Yeah. I've had older white men, and a lot of people beat up on them. I don't beat up on them.
They just know what they know.
They know what they know, and they need to unlearn.
Mhm.
They need to unlearn, and someone needs to tell them why. And someone then needs to say, this is why you shouldn't. This is why you should. And this is a new way forward. And when I've done that, I've gained respect. I've gained mana.
Mary, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you
You
today.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do
too.
ask one question of all of our guests, which is that one bit of advice. We're going to be putting together a book of resilience. You've got
Yes.
so many different
I know. I was
things.
just
We could
thinking,
just,
oh,
yeah, we could absolutely just cut up. But if there was anything that you would put like a kernel of wisdom for anyone who was about to be in that crux point,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. No, that doesn't usually work for very long. It does for 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
if you want the longevity of greatness, then yeah, that you're enough.
amazing.
Mary, we've loved this episode. Thank you so
Same.
much.
Nice to see
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mary.
thank you so much.
Mary Haddock-Staniland. What a guest.
It was so amazing. Like I was really like blown away with her story. And I think sometimes as well, when you read the paper, it's always like, you know, these different headlines of what we should and shouldn't think of these different areas and especially in the trans world. And chatting to Mary was amazing, was fantastic. And just to know that she, her story, where she came from, where she is now, and everything in between was fantastic.
Yes, I loved her fabulousness. And she inspired me to be more and to just unapologetically show up as myself, because I think so often we dim our light to make others feel more comfortable at the cost of our own self. And
Yes.
she inspired me today to just say it, do it, wear it, whatever. And I
Yeah.
love that about her. She touched on tall poppy syndrome, which is quite a big culture here, unfortunately, in New Zealand. And for those overseas who might not be as aware of this, she compared, obviously, the culture in America. It doesn't probably exist the same there,
No.
where we kind of have to shrink a little bit and not really talk about our successes for fear of putting our head above the crowd for scrutiny.
Yeah, when you do comedy in New Zealand versus America, so when I go over to America or American comedians come here, so American comedians, when they come here, as an MC, you say, how do you want to be introduced? And they say all of their like credits.
Oh, yes.
They say he's been seen on CSI, he's voiced American Dad and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Whereas in New Zealand, you just say my name, and then they'll go, how do you spell your name? Oh, if you get it wrong, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
And that's the difference in terms of like belief. And she talked about commanding respect and not
Yes.
talking about a utopia of like, I want everyone to get along and I want everyone to be kumbaya around a campfire. It was like, we are going to have different opinions and we might even argue about this. She even talked about her husband and how he disagreed with him on many occasions, but the respect, being seen, you are enough, the inclusivity of the conversation.
Yeah, your
is
voice
your voice
matters.
matters is what I get from that. Not everyone is equal, everyone's the same. It's not that. It is everyone.
How do we invite a culture that is so everyone has a seat at the table, how
Yes.
everybody can have their
Or is
opinion.
welcome to the table, I think
Yeah.
is more important as well.
Yeah.
Welcome, their voice is heard, and you don't have to agree with it, and you don't have to even side with it, but they are valued, and you might not agree on that subject, but we can all find common
And
ground.
understood as well.
Understood.
And it's interesting, she said I had to learn really all of this the hard way, and there's been many years of heartache, and I really did appreciate her level of openness through. It's not an easy transition to make, and even if you just wave the magic wand and voila, here you are in a different name and a different look.
Well, she even said you turn off the switch
Yeah.
and in the darkness and then turn it back on, and then she was Mary, and then all of a sudden you have to be okay with that. She had to be okay
And
with
there's
that.
a lot going on
There was
behind
so
the
much,
scenes.
and she
to still
said that she went
process.
to a dark place with that.
And her work with Lifeline. It's interesting. It's interesting, I think, because, if you're not using a service yourself, you don't tend to have it in your awareness. And when I was delving into a bit of Lifeline research, I realized just what a service it is that
Yeah.
they're receiving that volume of calls. I think it was 8,000 on that snippet I saw a week. And that's New Zealand and we can't lose this service.
No.
We need it. And so for people like Mary and others in the community that are really the advocates for the service, to keep it going and to keep fundraising for it, because if it's running at only 30% and the rest is such a gap of what they need to continue to run, then we all should really give it some love, hey?
Absolutely. We'll put that
The
details for
Lifeline
that
number,
Lifeline
we'll
number.
run that across the screen
Yes.
now.
But I guess the thing that we want everybody to know after watching this episode is that you are enough.
Yes.
Keep going, move forward, and turn up.
Yeah.
Keep turning up.
Be fabulous.
And if you're going through hard stuff at the moment, it's okay. But sometimes we need to go through these hard things to then appreciate, to then go forward.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll put all Mary's details there. So if you want to follow her, jump on and do that.
Thanks for watching Stand Up Again with Sophie and Nick Rado. We'll see you next time.
See you.